As we stood before the altar, my husband suddenly lifted my red veil, demanding I sign a concubinage contract before all the guests. He intended to grant his beloved a formal status. Yet during our betrothal, he swore he would never take a concubine. The crowd watched with glee, eager to see me humiliated. Gritting my teeth, I pointed at a man in the crowd, fair as jade. Lu Yun has violated our betrothal. To force me to submit before all these guests is the act of a petty man. I refuse to marry him. Are you willing to take my hand in marriage? Lu Yun's face instantly drained of color. The man's lips curved into a smile as he stepped forward, speaking with deliberate calm. Very well. I will marry you. The guests erupted in an uproar. Lu Yun gritted his teeth. Helan Ci, you are the daughter of the Grand Tutor. To act so shamelessly, changing husbands in the wedding hall, this defies all propriety. I scoffed. The Book of Rights states, if the husband is unworthy, the wife may remarry. Besides, we haven't even exchanged vows yet, we're not truly husband and wife. Today, I'll borrow your Lu residence to allow me and my husband to bow to heaven and earth, and enter the bridal chamber together. You. Lu Yun pointed a trembling finger at me, fury shaking his entire body. I tore the crimson silk sash, symbol of the groom, from his waist and fastened it around the waist of the handsome man beside me. After bowing to heaven and earth, I took his hand and stepped into the bridal chamber. The crowd pointed and whispered, their eyes filled with reproach and contempt. Only hidden at the back of the crowd, Lu Yun's white moonlight, Lu Rumen, revealed a triumphant smile. After entering the bridal chamber, I stood by the door listening for sounds outside, waiting for the guests to disperse so I could grab my dowry and return to the He residence. Instead, the man sat on the bedside, methodically undressing himself. When I turned back, my eyes met expanses of jade-like skin, the muscles defined and beautiful. From his waist down, the heat in my face surged, my heart racing wildly. The man smiled and asked, "Have you had enough?" I abruptly turned my head away, flicked my hair, smoothed my skirt, and steeled myself to ask, "What are you doing?" Consuming the marriage bed, he replied innocently, his deep eyes fixed intently on me. I cleared my throat and said solemnly, "Thank you for saving me today, young master. I shall personally visit to express my gratitude. Once the onlookers outside have dispersed, you may leave." He abruptly stood up, stepped before me, and took my hand. My fingers brushed his firm chest as his deep voice murmured like a spell, "We've exchanged vows before all those witnesses. Miss, he must take responsibility for me now." I swallowed hard, resisting the temptation of his masculine allure, and shoved him away decisively. "What is your name? I know nothing of your background or status. How could I possibly be responsible for you? Besides," I added, turning away while stealing a glance at his well-defined muscles, "besides, who just starts taking their clothes off like that?" He gave a slight nod, walked to the bedside, and quickly pulled his clothes on. Only then did I dare lift my eyes to study him closely. The man wore a long blue robe, his jade crown perched high on his head, his tall figure standing gracefully. No wonder I spotted him instantly in the crowd, he was truly exceptionally handsome. Standing before me, he clasped his hands and said, "I am Pei Yuheng, the newly crowned top scholar. Unmarried, I was once a classmate of Lu Yun and now serve in the Hanlin Academy." As Pei Yuheng spoke, my mind raced. The top scholar? More talented than Lu Yun, who was merely a third-place laureate. The Hanlin Academy? A prestigious post. He might even outrank my father someday. So I patted his shoulder and said, "Rest assured, Minister Pei. I will take responsibility for you." I led Pei Yuheng back to the He residence. We happened upon Lu Yun, who must have come to inform my father about today's events. No doubt he'd embellished the story with exaggerations. His gaze toward me was filled with utter disgust as he coldly declared, "Lan Ci, your conduct today was utterly disgraceful. I've already explained the situation to my father-in-law. If you apologize now, I'll forgive you for his sake. Why should I need your forgiveness? You abused your power to break our betrothal. You're the one who should be apologizing and atoning." Lu Yun's expression froze abruptly. After a long moment, he said, "It's perfectly normal for a man to have multiple wives and concubines. A wife should understand and be generous toward her husband. Otherwise, earning a reputation for being fierce and jealous won't benefit you or the He family. I narrowed my eyes, my gaze sharp as I fixed it on him. Have you forgotten? My mother dragged her frail body through hardship, toiling to sell tofu. The silver she earned sustained our family and bought you the finest writing brushes and ink. You promised to marry me after passing the imperial exams, vowing to be with me for a lifetime, just the two of us. When my mother died, you brazenly broke that vow. If I were to forgive you so easily, how could I face my mother in the afterlife? Had it not been for funding your imperial examinations, she would never have worked herself to death. My betrothal to Lu Yun was arranged since childhood. My mother was originally a concubine. The principal wife disliked her and, while my father was away, sent her to the country estate. Only after leaving the manor did she discover she was pregnant. She raised me by selling tofu. Lu Yun lived next door. On the day I was born, it was thanks to his mother's help that I came into this world safely. After Lu Yun's parents passed away one after the other, he lived in poverty, studying diligently in his cold, dim study. My mother, moved by his hardship, brought him meals every day. Later, my mother fell ill from exhaustion. At her bedside, Lu Yun vowed to care for me for the rest of his life, promising to love only me. Unexpectedly, when he went to the capital for the imperial examinations, he secretly developed feelings for Lu Rumin, a renowned scholar lady of the capital. The Lu family intervened, and Lu Rumin married the Grand General instead. 3 months ago, the general perished on the battlefield. The household accused her of being a husband killer and cast her out. With nowhere else to turn, she sought out Lu Yun once more. By then, I had been brought back to the Grand Tutor's residence by my grandmother, my heart aflutter with anticipation for my marriage to Lu Yun. That very day, Lu Rumin arrived bearing Lu Yun's jade pendant. Brother Lu and I were deeply in love. Had my father not intervened, I would already be Lady Lu. I beg Miss He to spare me. I don't seek to be his wife, only to stay by Brother Lu's side forever, even as a concubine. It was the first time I'd met someone actively seeking to become a concubine. Seeing her pitifully tearful face, I firmly refused. If Lu Yun truly wished to marry you, why send Miss Lu to plead with me in such a desperate manner? His silence proves he has no such intention. Lu Rumin departed in tears and never returned. I believed the matter was settled. Little did I know Lu Yun had other plans. He was convinced that as a girl raised in the countryside, I held less weight in my father's eyes than he did, a son-in-law with a promising future. But he miscalculated. With a casual gesture, I picked a husband even more formidable than him. Lu Yun flushed crimson as I confronted him. Lan Si, if you refuse to admit your mistake, this matter will never be resolved. How can it not be settled? Pei Yuheng spoke softly from beside me. Lu Yun's face twisted in embarrassment. Brother Pei, could you truly be considering marrying her? She's coarse and dull. To my eyes, Miss He is resilient and sharp-witted, the perfect choice for a wife. You. Lu Yun was too furious for words. I stepped forward. Lu Yun, today I sever all ties with you. Return every single coin my mother spent on your education, down to the last penny. From this day forward, we are strangers. With that, I gave Lu Yun no chance to respond and walked into the He residence with Pei Yuheng. My father paced angrily back and forth in the hall. My stepmother gnashed her teeth, cursing me viciously. The moment he saw me, father strode forward, raised his hand, and delivered a resounding slap across my face. I clenched my eyes shut, yet the expected sting was slow to come. Opening them, I saw Pei Yuheng standing before me. Father froze, momentarily stunned. With a thud, Pei Yuheng knelt before my father. Father-in-law, today I am at fault. Your anger and punishment should be directed at me alone. It has nothing to do with Lan Si. What kind of scoundrel dares to involve the Grand Tutor's household? My stepmother snapped. Pei Yuheng replied with neither humility nor arrogance. Your humble servant, Pei Yuheng, serves in the Hanlin Academy. I have long admired Miss He and today we have exchanged wedding vows. I realize this was abrupt, but I shall complete the 3 letters and 6 rites in due course. I earnestly begged the Grand Tutor to relinquish his claim and grant me permission to marry Miss Lan Si. I looked at Pei Yuheng. His words flowed with sincerity, flawless and deliberate, as if he'd rehearsed them countless times. Truly worthy of the top scholar title. Father's eyes lit up as he bent to help him up. Pei Yuheng? You are the newly crowned top scholar, Pei Yuheng? By the emperor's gracious favor, this humble son-in-law is indeed Pei Yuheng. My father's eyes brimmed with admiration. I fought to suppress the smile tugging at my lips, exchanging a knowing glance with Pei Yuheng. He really is something. My stepmother, sensing trouble, added fuel to the fire. So what if he's the new top scholar? He Lancy has brought nothing but shame upon the He family. How will my unmarried daughter ever find a suitable match now? She feigned wiping away 2 tears, her voice choked with emotion. Husband, if you do not punish her, people will say the He family lacks proper conduct. Then how does the lady suggest she be punished? The stepmother gritted her teeth, her eyes cold as she glared at me. According to family rules, 30 strokes of the cane and expulsion from the household. Since the lady has married into the Pei family, let me bear the punishment in her stead. Just as I was about to protest, grandmother hobbled into the room. Is today's commotion not enough? Must we see blood on such a joyous occasion? Father stepped forward to help grandmother sit. Mother, it is my failure to discipline my daughter properly that has caused you such worry. Grandmother shot father a withering glance. Lan Ci was already 16 when we took her in. When did you ever teach her? The grand tutor's daughter marrying a third-place scholar from humble origins is already a downgrade. That Lu Yun clearly took advantage of Lan Ci having no backing, showing utter contempt for the He household. Before his bride even entered the door, he forced Lan Ci to sign a concubine contract, truly unbecoming of a gentleman. As her parents, not only did you fail to stand by your daughter, but now you wish to strike her and cast her out. Our He family is a scholarly lineage, a family of integrity. When have we ever treated our own flesh and blood with such brutality? Grandmother panted heavily, her gaze fixed on the legitimate mother. The stepmother dared not utter a word. Father respectfully inquired, "What is mother's suggestion?" "I find this top scholar far more dependable than Lu Yun. Go, send people to retrieve every single item of Lan Ci's dowry. Not a single pair of chopsticks may be left behind." "Since you've already exchanged vows," Lan Ci, grandmother asks, "was this your own choice? Your granddaughter is of her own free will." "Very well. After this commotion, there's no need for extravagance. Have Pei's parents come another day to discuss matters." "Grandmother, my parents have passed away." A flicker of emotion seemed to stir in the grandmother's stern eyes. "Then, indeed, there's no need for formalities. If you two are in agreement, I shall grant Lan Ci to you today." Pei Yuheng solemnly kowtowed to grandmother, then bowed to my father. "Thank you, grandmother." "Thank you, father-in-law." He rose, took my hand, my heart began to pound wildly. I glanced at grandmother. She waved me on. "Lan Ci, go with your husband. I'll see you off." I walked over to support her as we made our way outside. She whispered softly in my ear, "Grandmother is old now and cannot protect you forever. If you stay at the He residence, your stepmother might scheme against you in ways unimaginable. I see that young Master Pei speaks and acts with great propriety. Since the matter is settled, you should live well with him. Your granddaughter understands." And so I became Pei Yuheng's wife. No sooner had I entered the Pei residence than grandmother sent servants to deliver a substantial addition to my dowry. The matron told me, "The old lady says a woman may lack her husband's affection, but she must never lack money to rely on. These are all gifts the old lady has privately given to you, young lady." My nose stung with emotion. Thank grandmother for me, Nanny. 80 loads of dowry filled the Pei family's small courtyard to bursting. After I finally sorted through the dowry, my attendant maid Chen Tao came to relay a message. She said Pei Yuheng was waiting for me in his bedroom, wanting to speak with me. Originally, I had no intention of becoming his true wife. I planned to wait until things settled down and then seek another path. But somehow, Chen Tao had stuffed all my belongings into Pei Yuheng's bedroom. The moment I pushed open the door, Pei Yuheng stood by the bed. He seemed freshly bathed, his eyes glistening as he looked at me. His undergarments weren't fully fastened, revealing a broad expanse of chest, as if deliberately tempting me with his masculine allure. My face flushed, and I tried to retreat, inwardly cursing Chun Tao for spreading such nonsense. The next instant, Pei Yuheng's large hand seized my wrist. "Where are you going, my lady?" A burning heat spread from my cheeks to my ears. Still unaccustomed to his address, I stammered, I won't disturb your rest." Pei Yuheng chuckled softly. "How could you be a disturbance? You must be weary from your duties. I've had Chun Tao prepare water in the cleansing chamber. Go bathe, my lady, and rest early." In the blink of an eye, a light kiss landed on the back of my hand. A faint tingle, as if it had brushed against my heart. This was clearly our first meeting, yet why did Pei Yuheng slip into his role so effortlessly? Emerging from the washroom, I hesitated before entering the bedroom. Pei Yuheng was already asleep. I tiptoed into the bed and pulled the quilt over me, letting out a quiet sigh. His eyes were closed, his exquisitely chiseled features relaxed and serene, like a tranquil painting. His breath was soft and even. As I began to relax, nearly drifting off, Pei Yuheng's arm wrapped around me. His eyes, dark as ink, fixed on me as he murmured with a faint smile, "My lady, are you ready to sleep?" My ears flushed hot again. Unable to meet his gaze, I shifted my eyes downward, to his sensual Adam's apple, his delicate collarbone, the faintly visible muscle lines beneath his loosened collar. Unconsciously, a wave of embarrassment washed over me. I swallowed hard and asked, "If not sleep, then what?" He turned his body toward me. Candlelight cast shadows across the half of his face scarred by my father's blows, leaving a faint flush. In Pei Yuheng's eyes, starlight shattered and scattered sparsely. He took my hand and pressed it against his cheek. "My lady, won't you comfort me? You promised to take responsibility." Before I could react, he leaned in, his clothes falling completely open. Pei Yuheng's eyes held an inky darkness, deep and unfathomable, drawing me in with an irresistible pull. The instant his scorching chest pressed against mine, my entire body trembled. Whispering tenderly in my ear, he murmured, "My lady, shall we consummate our marriage?" My throat caught. My hand found his chest. "If you insist, it is not impossible." The next day, I awoke with every muscle aching. Chun Tao informed me that Pei Yuheng had already left for the morning court session, instructing her before departing to keep breakfast warm on the stove. "Master said you've been through a lot, miss. Remember to eat while it's hot." Instantly, certain unspeakable images flashed through my mind, making my face flush tight and hot. I awkwardly twitched my lips. "He is quite considerate." Chun Tao, unaware of my meaning, innocently replied, "Master is a good man. But miss, rumors are spreading about you, that you neglect your wifely duties, loving one man after another. Miss, perhaps you shouldn't go out these days." I straightened my back. Why shouldn't I go out? I insist on it. It's the man's fault, yet the woman bears the blame. I'll see who it is that twists truth into lies. After dressing and applying makeup, Chun Tao and I stepped outside. My reputation in the capital had never been stellar. Raised in the countryside, I'd never come to the city if not for my grandmother's return to pay ancestral respects. She couldn't bear the thought of the He family bloodline fading away. With limited literacy and no skill in the arts, criticism was a constant companion. At the end of the street, several women whispered among themselves. Their voices grew louder, every word reaching my ears. "The Grand Tutor has so many accomplished students, how could he raise such a daughter? Shameful! She just points at some young man and drags him off to the bridal chamber. She's incredibly lucky," she pointed at random and landed the top scholar. How could the top scholar possibly fancy her? Perhaps she possesses some hidden talent. I shook my head repeatedly. What talent could I possibly have? It was Pei Yuheng who had talent. Chun Tao clenched her fists angrily, ready to confront them. I grabbed her arm to stop her. Instantly, the sound of a struggle erupted behind us. The cosmetics shop owner's face was streaked with tears. "Mr. Shin, please grant me a few more days. My father's illness drained our savings, and my younger brother is still so young. None of my concern. Stop your nonsense. If you can't pay the rent, get out today." His long arm swept across the counter, scattering cosmetics and powders across the floor. Dust swirled chaotically, carrying a distinctive fragrance. She wore simple clothes and looked pale, clearly a woman of hardship. I stepped forward, pulled out my money pouch, and said to Mr. Shin, "How much does she owe you?" "I'll pay it for her." "Are you serious?" "I am." The gawking crowd dispersed. The cosmetics shop owner knelt before me, tears streaming down her face as she kowtowed. "Miss, your kindness is beyond measure. Nincho has no way to repay you." I helped her up. "You can repay me. I own a shop. Your cosmetics are excellent. How about we go into business together?" My purpose in leaving today was to inspect the shop my grandmother bequeathed me, contemplating starting a business. After all, my union with Pei Yuheng was no proper marriage. I couldn't remain forever dependent on others. Her eyes glistened as she looked at me. "Yes, miss. Whatever you ask of me, I will do." In just 7 days, we had the Rouge shop ready and chose an auspicious time to open. Business was sparse. The only visitor was the steward from the He household. He came to deliver a message from my father. "The master advises you to close the shop early. It is not proper for a woman to be out in public. If you persist in this behavior, do not blame him for disowning you." I toyed with the brocade box in my hand, replying nonchalantly, "He never considered me his daughter to begin with." The steward's face flushed alternately crimson and ashen. It was Pei Yuheng, who came to escort me home, who smoothly diffused the tension with his jade-like composure. "Please convey to my father-in-law that my official duties keep me busy, preventing me from accompanying her often. This business venture is entirely my wife's initiative." The steward hurried away. I lifted my eyes to study Pei Yuheng's face, softened by a gentle smile. "Did you mean what you said just now? Since ancient times, men have disliked women appearing in public. Merchants hold an even lower status. This might not be a good thing for you. Madam, does running this shop bring you joy?" "Business is slow now, but I am truly happy, because there is hope. Anything that makes my wife happy must be a good thing." I suddenly felt a bit dazed. His eyes brimmed with deep affection. Yet we had only known each other for a little over a month. Had I misread him? Pei Yuheng and I did not return directly to the mansion. He led me to the silk shop to order custom garments. "I have no shortage of clothes. Why spend so much?" Pei Yuheng smiled like a spring breeze. "My lady possesses extraordinary talent. No amount of garments would be a waste. In a few days, His Majesty will host a banquet for this year's top scholars. He specifically requested that spouses attend." His gaze lingered on me, warm and steady. "Would the lady grace us with her presence?" "Aye." Pei Yuheng probed cautiously. "Of course, Lu Yun and his new bride will also attend." "If the lady fears." "I fear nothing. Half a month ago, Lu Yun had married Lu Rumen. It wasn't me who broke faith and abandoned principles. What was there for me to fear?" I pointed to the most expensive cloud brocade on the counter and told the shopkeeper, "Take these 2 bolts. Make them the finest possible." 10 days later, Pei Yuheng escorted me into the palace for the banquet. Men and women were seated separately. Before taking their places, the female guests mingled in the side hall. Inside the hall, many pointed fingers at me, whispering that I behaved disgracefully, climbing high by marrying the top scholar. So what if she's the top scholar's wife? I hear she opened a rouge shop on East Street. A lady of the inner chambers hawking wares along the street. She's brought shame upon herself. Thankfully, your Lord Lu didn't marry her. Otherwise, Scholar Pei's future in officialdom would surely face many obstacles. Lu Rumen's smile held hidden barbs as she gently interceded. "Don't speak of her so harshly. She is, after all, the Grand Tutor's daughter. Rumen, it's a blessing you're so kind-hearted. Even the Grand Tutor disowns this illegitimate daughter, yet you still speak for her." Whispered laughter reached my ears. I pretended not to hear. The matron came to announce we could take our seats. Entering the main hall required passing through a long corridor. Along both sides of the corridor, various porcelain vases were displayed on low tables. I'd heard they were all the Empress's most cherished possessions. As we neared the main hall, the 2 women behind me suddenly surged forward, sandwiching me between them. Each bumped into me. My eyes widened in fury. They were the officials' wives who had just spoken with Lu Rumen. Fortunately, I steadied myself and regained my composure. Suddenly, a force from behind sent me crashing to the floor along with the porcelain vases on the table. Shards of broken porcelain sliced my hand, blood gushing forth. All eyes turned to me. What's going on? Lu Yun stepped forward first. Lu Rumen's voice was as soft as a cat's. Earlier, Lady Pei broke the Empress's porcelain vase. I stood up, pressing my bleeding wound, and snapped, "You're lying. You deliberately bumped into me to frame me." Lu Rumen's eyes reddened as she burrowed into Lu Yun's embrace. "No, it's not like that." Lu Yun soothed his wife while coldly addressing me. "Lan Xi, I know you hate me, but you don't have to make things difficult for my wife. What happened between us is in the past. You should let it go." "Let it go? Have you repaid my mother's silver? And you tell me to let it go?" One of the women who had bumped into me earlier sneered, "What a lowly merchant. Do you have any proof? Let Lord Lu repay the silver then." Lu Rumen, in Lu Yun's arms, wept even more pitifully. "It's all my fault. I couldn't forget you," which made her jealous. "If this makes Lady Pei feel better, I'll endure the humiliation." "Lu Lang, let it go." "How can we just let it go? If the Empress blames us later." "If the Empress blames us, I'll take the blame." Pei Yuheng strode over, his white brocade robe making him look like an immortal cast down from heaven. Just as I was about to speak, he shook his head at me, signaling for silence. "Please, Lady Lu, apologize to my wife." "What? Brother Pei, shouldn't you ask for the full story first?" Pai Yuheng's gaze turned icy as he fixed it on Lu Yun. "Unnecessary. I trust my wife. She would not lie." "Minister Lu, you grew up with her. Is my wife someone who speaks nothing but lies?" Lu Yun remained silent, focusing solely on comforting the delicate child in his arms. With so many witnesses present, I refused to believe everyone saw my wife deliberately shatter the Empress's porcelain vase. If anyone is so certain, let them accompany me to see His Majesty. Before the Emperor, one cannot lie, lying is treason. All fell silent. Lu Rumen tugged lightly at Lu Yun's sleeve. "Lu Lang, let it go." "It cannot be let go." Pei Yuheng fixed his gaze on Lu Rumen, his words deliberate. "Lady Lu must apologize to my wife. It was you who knocked her down and caused her injury." Lu Yun gritted his teeth. "Don't push it too far." Lu Rumen raised her hand to stop him. "Yes, it was my carelessness. I apologize." "I'm sorry, Madam Pei." The matron urged, "The banquet has begun. Won't you all take your seats?" The crowd streamed into the inner hall. Pei Yuheng took my hand and said to the matron, "Please convey to Her Majesty that my wife is injured. We shall not be joining the banquet. Also, my wife accidentally broke a porcelain vase. Should the Empress inquire, please. It's merely a porcelain vase. Her Majesty witnessed Lord Pei protecting his wife just now. Rest assured, the Empress already knows the truth and sent me to smooth things over. Quickly take your wife to the Imperial Medical Office to have her wound bandaged." "Thank you, Mother." By the time we returned home from the Imperial Medical Bureau, night had fallen. After supper, I felt utterly exhausted. I lay down on the bed, utterly listless. I said to Pei Yuheng, "Accompanying you to the palace was more tiring than running my shop all day. You've worked hard, my lady." "The Empress. I mean, my reputation in the capital isn't good. Why would she help me?" Pei Yuheng chuckled softly. "She ascended to the throne of Empress. She wouldn't rely on others' words to judge a person. The intrigues within the palace are no less than those of the imperial court. Yes, she is the Empress after all." As the words fell, a faint woody scent drifted over me. His arm wrapped around me, and he pressed a kiss to my cheek. Pei Yuheng's eyes brimmed with tenderness. "Today has truly been an ordeal for you, my lady. Since your hands cannot exert strength, allow your husband to serve you well." An overwhelming sensation washed over me. Everything around us seemed to dissolve into nothingness. Pei Yuheng was like a different person when alone versus when others were present. My hand lay lazily on the pillow as he leaned down to kiss my lips. I quietly lifted the pillow's edge, feeling the divorce papers hidden beneath for days. For a long while, it felt as if even my hair strands carried his scent. My thoughts drifted aimlessly. I must find an opportunity to discuss the divorce with him. Otherwise, this matter would truly drag on endlessly. It was exhausting. Business at the shop was slow. Nincho had recently concocted several new rouge formulas. I thought of a plan, packaged them in small brocade boxes and offered them to customers as complimentary samples. Suddenly, the shop's popularity surged. In high spirits, I personally selected a chicken at the market, intending to prepare soy sauce chicken for Pei Yuheng. Upon returning to the Pei residence, chaos reigned. Imperial guards had the mansion completely surrounded. What's happening? Where is Pei Yuheng? The leading official declared, Minister Pei has been imprisoned in the heavenly prison for stealing precious texts from the Hanlin Academy library to sell for personal gain. I've been ordered to search the residence. Please do not obstruct us, madam. Impossible. He would never do such a thing. Whether Minister Pei is guilty or not, we will uncover the truth. Your Honor, an officer gestured toward the study. I followed them inside. Behind the bookshelves, a hidden compartment lay open, revealing a stack of books. Their exquisite binding suggested considerable value. It felt like a thunderclap out of nowhere. The official addressed me, the evidence is irrefutable. His Majesty has shown mercy by not involving your family. Take care of yourself, madam. After the officers departed, I drew a deep breath, steadying my thoughts. Pei Yuheng could never have done such a thing. If he were corrupt and perverted justice, why would he live in this modest courtyard? He had aided me many times. This time, I would help clear his name. I rushed to the government office to beat the drum of grievance, intending to visit Pei Yuheng in prison. There, I encountered Lu Yun. As I struck the drum, he stood silently beside me, watching. The mallet was too heavy, my strength drained after just a few blows. Lu Yun's expression was cold and stern as he said to me, Lan Xi, since we know each other, I advise you to return home. Divorce Pei Yuheng as soon as possible. Recently, several volumes of texts have been stolen from the Hanlin Academy. The Emperor is paying particular attention to this matter. Pei Yuheng cannot escape the death penalty. I snorted coldly, sneering, do you think everyone is as ungrateful as you? You studied alongside my husband at the Six Arts Academy in the capital, we were classmates. His guilt hasn't even been proven, yet you're already pinning the blame on him. Leave. If you won't help, don't come here and disgust me. Lu Yun seemed to freeze, struggling to speak after a long moment. Your husband? Blame? Helan Ci, look at the words coming out of your mouth. All these years, you haven't grown an inch. You're still as crude and vulgar as ever. I glared at him and hissed, get out. I picked up the drumstick and continued beating the drum, but still no one paid attention. At this point, only one person could help me. I had no choice but to step into the He residence. Ever since grandmother fell ill and my stepmother repeatedly blocked my visits, I hadn't set foot in the He residence. I knew knocking directly would yield no answer. Calculating my father's return from court, I rushed forward the moment his official sedan chair touched down. Father. His expression twisted with disgust upon seeing me. Glancing around, he whispered, inside. Father has always valued appearances. He must have known the purpose of my visit. Family shame must not be aired publicly. He would certainly let me inside. The moment I entered, before I could speak, he cut me off. I know what you wish to say. The only course now is to swiftly sever ties with Pei Yuheng to prevent disaster befalling the He residence. I've already made arrangements for you. Divorce him immediately, return to the estate where you grew up, and never set foot in the capital again. Every word he spoke was exactly what I expected, yet my heart still clenched in pain. I fell to my knees before him with a thud. Father, this is the last time I will ever beg you. Please, just this once, help me arrange to go to the imperial prison to see Pei Yuheng. After that, I will sever all ties with the He household. He flung his sleeve aside in fury. Fine. Fine. You refuse the path to life I offer you. Go ahead and choose your own path to death. I signed the father-daughter severance agreement. Father arranged for me to see Pei Yuheng in the heavenly prison. He looked much more haggard, his hair disheveled and falling over his shoulders. The moment he saw me, his eyes reddened. A wave of bitterness surged in my heart. Pei Yuheng, you're innocent, aren't you? My lady trusts me? I trust you unconditionally, just as you trusted me that day at the palace banquet. My lady, will you do as I ask? Yes, speak. My vision was blurred with tears. The divorce petition you hid beneath your pillow, send it to me another day. I will sign it. His voice was heavy with restraint, and my heart ached so fiercely it felt like it might shatter. You knew all along? Yes, I knew long ago. Then why did you still? Because I've cherished you for so long, my heart couldn't bear to let you go. Pei Yuheng's face was pale, and the light in his eyes seemed to flicker and suddenly extinguish. How could that be? Wasn't the day of my wedding banquet with Lu Yun our first meeting? Just as he was about to speak, the jailer interrupted. Lady Pei, the hour is upon us. We'd have trouble explaining ourselves later. My gaze remained fixed on Pei Yuheng. Rest assured, I will never agree to divorce you. These past days, I'd exhausted every avenue to clear Pei Yuheng's name, yet made no progress. My heart burned with desperation. Today, I resolved to go to the drum hall of petitions and strike the drum to appeal for justice, demanding a thorough reinvestigation of the case. Chun Tao tried to stop me. Have you thought this through, miss? After striking the drum, you must endure 20 lashes before submitting your petition. 20 full lashes, your flesh will be torn and bleeding. I had thought it through. A promise made to Pei Yuheng must be kept. Chun Tao spread the writing paper on the table. I bit my finger, using my blood as ink to write the petition myself. My knowledge of characters was limited. Lu Yun taught me before, but he was always impatient. He laughed at my clumsiness. I stomped my foot in frustration. Lu Yun would then coax me with words. He said, Lan Xi, you only need to know how to write your own name. Everything else will be taken care of by me. He never taught me, yet he disdained my rustic ways. Unlike his Lu Rumen, who could compose poetry and converse with him with wit and charm. All these densely packed characters were taught to me stroke by stroke after I married Pei Yuheng. He held my hand as he guided my pen. He was a genuinely good man, incapable of breaking the law. The only time Pei Yuheng ever stepped out of line in his life was for me. At first light, I went to the drum of public complaints to strike the gong. The judge, his expression stern and cold, asked, Do you know the rules? I know them. I'm not afraid. For my husband, I fear nothing. He smiled faintly and ordered the staff to bring the cane. I lay face down on the bench, watching as the first blow was about to fall upon my flesh. From beyond the crowd, someone shouted, Stop. A man in official robes, panting heavily, said, His Majesty has confirmed that the book trafficking has nothing to do with Minister Pei. Sister-in-law, please hurry back to the residence. Minister Pei will be returning shortly. Overwhelmed with emotion, I leaped off the bench and ran tearfully toward home. Pushing open the courtyard gate, I found Pei Yuheng standing within. He turned at the sound of the gate opening, and I threw myself recklessly into his arms. Pei Yuheng visibly stiffened for a moment before wrapping his arms tighter around me. A wave of bitterness surged, and I burst into tears, releasing days of worry and fear. He gently patted my back. It's all my fault. Tonight, I'll properly apologize to my lady. I tilted my head up, meeting his gaze. His eyes held deep affection and intense desire. That's when I realized what kind of apology he meant. I punched his chest in exasperation, sniffling as I scolded, Pei Yuheng, you're so vulgar. He made a shushing gesture. A deep male voice drifted from nearby. My minister, this courtyard is far too modest. Shall I select a date to bestow a proper residence upon you? I straightened, gazing at the man clad in dark yellow robes. My legs gave way, and I knelt. Your servant, the wife, pays her respects to His Majesty. The Emperor smiled kindly. Rise, rise. Lady Pei, your husband has rendered great service to the Empire. I intend to reward him handsomely. The Empress speaks of you in the highest terms. I should bestow a gift upon you as well. What would you desire? I glanced shyly at Pei Yuheng. He too knelt. Your Majesty, this humble servant has a request. My wife and I never formally exchanged wedding vows. Because of this, she has endured much controversy in the capital, suffering great injustice. I humbly ask your Majesty to grant us a royal marriage decree, so we may renew our vows. My minister, this is a most fitting request. Granted. Thank you, your Majesty. After the emperor departed, I twisted Pei Yuheng's arm and gritted my teeth. Weren't you seeking a divorce? Why then did you ask the emperor to grant a marriage decree? Pei Yuheng, don't think you can get away with this. 1,000 questions swirled in my mind. I ordered him to explain himself before I'd let him sleep. Candlelight flickered within the room, warming the hibiscus canopy. Pei Yuheng and I knelt facing each other on the bed. As he reached to pull me into his embrace, I drew a disciplinary ruler from beneath the pillow and threatened, I ask one question. You answer one. No lies. Agreed. I sat up straight and said, you claim to have long cherished me in your heart, yet I have no recollection of where we might have met. Pei Yuheng stared at me with eyes brimming with grievance, his voice trembling slightly, almost like he was about to cry. My lady has forgotten me. Last spring, did you encounter a ragged scholar on the road outside the capital? I narrowed my eyes, trying to recall. Last spring, grandmother brought me back to the He family estate. As we neared the capital, our carriage suddenly halted. The coachman said a beggar was soliciting alms along the road. Moments later, a man's clear, resonant voice sounded outside the carriage. I am no beggar, but a scholar heading to the capital for the imperial examinations. Bandits robbed me of every last coin. Might my benefactor lend me some silver to continue my journey? Should I pass the examinations, I shall repay you many times over. My grandmother grew impatient. He's likely a swindler. Pay him no mind. Every year before the spring examinations, scoundrels use such excuses to defraud travelers. Wait, I pleaded with my grandmother. What if he's telling the truth? Grandmother, consider this a loan from your granddaughter. She unfastened the money pouch at her waist and handed it to me. I stepped down from the carriage and pressed the pouch into his hands. That day, his face was smeared with grime, his features indistinguishable. In that instant, it dawned on me. So it was you. Indeed. I pressed further. When did you recognize me? Long ago. How long ago? I pressed relentlessly. But Pei Yuheng's kiss pressed against mine. My lady, I know I was wrong. I'll make amends. Shall we retire for the night? He was stubborn and persistent, and we both ended up on the bed. Pei Yuheng's kisses left me weak in the knees. I surrendered quickly. The next day, the government posted an edict. The faction led by the Grand Secretary of the Hanlin Academy had long been stealing imperial texts for private sale. Their crimes were unforgivable. All their properties were confiscated, and they were exiled to Lingnan. Pei Yuheng said that upon taking office, he discovered many texts in the library were copied manuscripts, suspecting someone had stolen the originals. The Hanlin Academy was heavily guarded, it must have been an inside job. He privately reported this matter to the emperor. The emperor then ordered him to assist the Supreme Court in thoroughly investigating the case. But the case was deeply entangled, with far-reaching connections. Pei Yuheng devised this strategy to strike at the root of the problem, letting the true mastermind believe they had evaded punishment, then ordering a covert investigation to wipe them out completely and purge the system. I asked him, how did you come up with this plan? People are most likely to slip up when they're at their most arrogant. His eyes twinkled mischievously. I feigned anger, but I suffered so much. Do you have any idea how many sleepless nights I endured worrying? Forgive me, my lady. But if I hadn't done this, how would you have seen my true heart? He leaned close to my ear, speaking in a whisper only we could hear. Tonight, I'll confess my mistakes properly. I squeezed my aching waist and pushed him away. It's unnecessary. I forgive you. The emperor's decree granting our marriage arrived swiftly, along with a 3-courtyard mansion and 100 acres of fertile land. News of my union with Pei Yuheng spread throughout the capital once more. This time, it was all praise. They extolled our perfect match, he the talented scholar, she the graceful beauty, a union destined by heaven, a golden union. My cosmetics shop's business flourished as a result. Even those officials' wives who once looked down on me now scrambled to patronize my shop. I wasn't one to turn down money, especially from those two women who had helped Lou Ruman squeeze me out. For the rouge and powder they selected, I doubled and tripled the price. Upon hearing the cost, they were utterly flustered. That young lady just bought the same items as us. Why was hers 10 taels, but ours 50? I rolled my eyes. Think it's too expensive? You don't have to buy. Our shop doesn't force sales. They smiled obsequiously. No, we'll buy it. We'll buy it. I donated all the extra silver to the orphanage through Chun Tao. Better to avoid any future complications. Today, with some free time, I plan to close the shop early and handle my marriage affairs. Just as the door was about to close, Lu Yun arrived. He'd grown a full beard, looking 10 years older, utterly dull and uninspiring. I'd heard his official career had hit a wall, forcing him to resign. Things had soured with Lou Ruman too. His household was in utter chaos. I'd no intention of acknowledging him. But as he approached, he thrust a small wooden box into my hands. Lon Ci, count this. It's your money back. I cleared my throat and emphasized, not mine. It belongs to my mother. Right, it belongs to your mother. He seemed hesitant to speak further. I asked calmly if he had anything else to say. Lu Yun said, Lon Ci, are you truly willing to entrust the rest of your life to Pei Yuheng? He's no good. You know that, right? Making you acknowledge his concubine in front of the family. It was him. Before he could finish, a figure stepped between us. Pei Yuheng's voice was colder than ice. Minister Lu, if you have anything to say it to me. Don't bother my wife. You. Lu Yun tried to step forward. Pei Yuheng clearly had no patience. Get out. Believe me or not, I'll report you to His Majesty again, just as you reported me when I was imprisoned. My heart tightened. Was that really the case? Seeing the situation turn sour, Lu Yun had no choice but to turn and leave. I crossed my arms, leaning against the doorframe, staring directly at Pei Yuheng. You seem to be hiding something from me again. Unsurprisingly, my disciplinary ruler finally found its purpose. Pei Yuheng's palms turned crimson, his eyes pleading like a small dog's. My lady, I was wrong. This time, he truly had erred. I never imagined Magistrate Pei possessed such deep-seated scheming. His web began weaving back when we studied at the Six Arts Academy. Pei Yuheng feigned innocence. Back then, Lu Yun constantly raved about how vulgar his fiancée was. I wondered just how bad she could be, so I hid behind the door to peek when you delivered things to him. Only after recognizing you did I realize how blind Lu Yun was to such a gem. Later, when he passed the imperial exams as third-place scholar, he secretly carried on with Lou Ruman behind your back. How could I stand by and watch you walk into a fire pit? I raised the disciplinary ruler high, my rage boiling over. So you told him the story, about a lioness of a fiancé in Jiangnan who set her sights on a courtesan and wanted to take her as a concubine, using that very public recognition of a concubine tactic? Is that it? Yes. Oh, my lady, please be gentle. Did you ever consider what would have happened if I'd signed that concubine recognition document? I was red with fury. You wouldn't have. What if I had? I would have stolen you away. He grinned slyly. I kicked him twice with all my might. You scoundrel. He seized the moment to pin me down. It's all because I love you, Helan Ci. I love you. That's why he set this elaborate trap for me. Our wedding banquet was modest, which suited me perfectly. Last month, Pei Yuheng invited an imperial physician to treat my grandmother. Her health improved greatly, and she became the only senior relative we needed to formally pay respects to. When I returned to the Helan residence to fetch her, my father addressed me politely by name. I responded courteously, Master He. My elder brother had repeatedly failed the imperial examinations. My father had pulled numerous strings to secure him a post far from home, forcing him to leave his homeland. My elder sister married into a marquis's household, yet her mother-in-law treated her harshly, and her husband was promiscuous. My mother-in-law was overwhelmed and fell ill. After scheming his entire life, father ended up in such a state. His heart turned to ashes, and he petitioned the emperor for honorable retirement. As I helped grandmother out, mother-in-law sighed heavily in the courtyard. Father said her illness was severe. I casually suggested, perhaps send her to the estate to recuperate. The air is fresh there, and it might lift her spirits. Before long, father indeed sent the stepmother to the estate. I chuckled inwardly. The suffering my mother endured, the stepmother should taste as well. Lost in thought, I hadn't even noticed when Pei Yuheng entered. Candlelight flickered in the room as Pei Yuheng kissed my lips, his rhythm halting and uncertain. He murmured, "Why have you taken to spending so much time in my study lately, my lady?" My ears burned as I feigned seriousness. To study the ways of commerce, of course. His hand slid slowly downward as he questioned, "Oh? Is that truly what you're learning? What else could it be?" Pei Yuheng's lips brushed against my earlobe. "Then why are the erotic paintings on the innermost shelf of my bookcase worn to shreds?" Before I could answer, he pressed his lips fiercely against mine. "What does my lady wish to learn? Let your husband teach you." I challenged, "You're quite skilled at that." He pulled my hand to press against his firm chest. "Then you teach me." The end.